Uh, so today's webinar, we are covering about the topic of the webinar is accounting equation versus job equation. Okay. So I think it would be good if someone can, if the people who are attending can write in chat what do we understand by an accounting equation or a job equation, or maybe if yeah, uh, if you can put your thought in chat, then maybe I can pick it up from there and then take it forward. So what happens typically in the job equation, and predominantly when we are talking about it, we're talking from a perspective of a professional qualification. Do we really need a professional qualification in today's time when we are in a job and we're talking about a job situation? Do we need a professional qualification, or do you think uh, if one is very good at work, that should be sufficient enough? They don't need a professional qualification to back their working skills. So if you can put your thoughts in chat whether a professional qualification is required, what do you think? And then maybe we can unfold it and see how it goes. So let me just try to see what people are typing. Can we see chat? Yeah. Anyone, please, can you start? Can you please chat, ask, or maybe share your views, in terms of what do you think, whether what do you think, do we need a professional qualification in a job situation? Okay. So let us see how whether a professional qualification is required or not. And I think before I go into this slide, let me just tell you what I feel personally. Personally, I feel if suppose we have our friend Ronak who is in the call. I know Ronak extremely well. I've been knowing him for last 5 years, and I know what kind of person he is. He's extremely talented, extremely skillful, and I can totally trust him that whatever job is given to him or whatever work is given to him, he will do wonders in his work. If I have that kind of good relationship with Ronak, in that case, Ronak doesn't need to have a professional qualification. I think his work ethics, his work behavior is so good that we don't need any professional qualification. I mean, I'm good to have him, or we work together without I needing to, or Ronak needing to prove himself that he needs to have a good professional qualification. But however, when it comes to corporate, something changes. And why it changes? And so what happens is, when I'm talking about Ronak, we both work together. I see him every day. I know him in person. So there's a very strong personal bond between me and Ronak, and that is what dictates in terms of my understanding about his skill set and what he can do. And I trust him the way I trust myself. Similarly, I trust him in terms of his capabilities. If we have a strong personal relationship, then I think you don't need a professional qualification. That's how I think there are two people who are friends. They can actually start a business, or start work together without needing to a professional qualification. But what happens in a corporate environment, when you go for a job interview, yeah, when you're sitting for a job interview, the person has to first understand his position. So although you may think that you are good enough, you know your task, but look at from the perspective of a person who's taking the interview. Yeah, number one, he has got there is a vacancy in his organization, or maybe a couple of vacancies or more than vacancies in the organization, which he is to fill. So what he has done is he has given some advertisement, and that's how people have he has received maybe suppose he would have received maybe 30 resumes. So now the question in terms of in front of him, or the problem in front of him is, from 30 people, how do I select three which I need? So that's the challenge. That's the question which he's battling with, right? And he knows none of them. All 30 are nothing but a piece of information which he has received either on a piece of paper or in a spreadsheet. So that is what the kind of relationship, or they know you. Now, given this background, how he will select three people out of 30 people? and then you will understand his position in terms of, and that what he will do is for each person, maybe he will give the first, what he will do is he will look at filtering. And now he knows that I don't have so much time. If the number of candidates are more, then he will say, okay, I cannot take an interview of 50 people. I need to cut short. That's the first thing we'll do. I can only take an interview of maybe 10 people and more. If you go higher up in the organization, if you're starting it up where, I mean, you have a bigger room for entering, but as you move up the ladder, as you move up the value chain, there the opportunities or the number of people with whom you're competing gets refined. Yeah. So he said, okay, there are maybe 2 or 3 positions which I need to fill. Out of these 30 resume which I've got, how do I select maybe 10 people with whom I can actually have an interview? What do you think? What criteria he will take? So maybe you can put it in chat in terms of what all criteria he will take for selecting those from 30. How he will select 15 people. So I'll tell you what all consideration will be there in his mind. The first would be, obviously, the first factor is going to be his work experience. So, for example, he knows that the kind of profile for which he is hiring, that profile needs to have a good understanding of maybe finance. So maybe he say that I need someone who's got above maybe 5 years or 10 years of work experience. So that's the first thing. So he'll look at experience. People who are not experienced, maybe he'll remove them. That's the first thing which he will do. Second, what he will do is, okay, after maybe from 30, that will bring down to maybe 20. And then from 20, he needs to further come down to 10 people with whom he's going to do. And then what he will do is, the next thing he will do is he will maybe look for a professional qualification. Okay. So what he will do is he will say that, okay, out of 20 people, maybe 10 people doesn't have the professional qualification which is required for the job. And you would know by now that if you're working in an organization, and typically in a large organization, every job position has got a work experience. It says that this profile or this position in a job should have a working experience of maybe above 10 years, and he should have a professional qualification. So all the job roles typically have a professional qualification attached to them. So we'll say, okay, out of 20 people, I need to have only 10 who can actually come for an interview, and I can engage with them. And then what he will do is he will remove 10 on the basis of professional qualification, and then maybe he will have an interview of 10 people, and from there maybe he will select 3. So that is how. And then there are obviously a lot of other factors in consideration in terms of what is the location, what is the salary expectation, etc., etc., etc. And importantly, whether the experience which they are looking at, you have a prior experience or not, and all these factors. There are a lot of other factors which comes in. But what happens is qualification becomes one of the reason why they filter out people, right? I'm not sure if you have experienced that when you're given an interview, maybe you have given a good interview and you feel that the interview was good. You have the work experience which they want, and your salary expectation is also in line to them. But maybe they will not select you because there could be other reason, but also professional qualification can be one of the reasons for which they will not look at you. And again, I will try to connect why they are doing this is because they don't have a deep relationship with you. They don't know you in person. Yeah, they have maybe 10 minutes or less than, maybe just on a piece of paper to filter on a spreadsheet or on a piece of paper. They need to filter out. They need to filter out professionals. Yeah. So if that is the case, then in my previous example, there's a personal relationship where if you have a personal relationship, then you don't need a professional qualification because you know what to expect from a person and what he or she can do and cannot do. And basis his skill level, you can take a judgment. But however, where that personal connect is not there, then other factors play a very important role, and professional qualification is one of them. And hence, it plays an extremely important role when it comes to getting through in a job interview. Okay, said that, now we have understood this. I think this is the premises in terms of why a professional qualification plays an important role versus a personal relationship. So that's one foundation or one reality which I wanted to take you through. Next, I think what I will do is I will just take you through what do I mean by. So this is what we intend to cover. Why do we need a professional qualification? Again, I'll come to the same question of why a professional qualification is required. And most of the time, I think the entire discussion would be on two things. Is the first, I think, predominantly is going to be why do we need a professional qualification? Yeah, and the second is if you need, how USCMA can be one of a good qualification to have. Yeah, and then I'll talk about. I'll run you through quickly in terms of what USCMA is, what exam detail, and how we run this program. So starting with again the first question, why do we need a professional qualification? So this is one equation which we have put, and since we all are accounting from accounting background, you know that the accounting equation is that, or maybe for a goodwill, that if the fair market value of an organization of maybe if in case of a merger and where you are actually taking a buying an organization. Suppose you are acquiring an organization and you feel after looking at their books of accounts and looking at their discounted cash flows, etc., that the fair market value of an organization is suppose 1,000 crores. I'm just saying example, 1,000 crore. But however, there are a lot of other people also who are competing for it, competing for the organization. They also want to acquire the organization, and then maybe the purchase price goes to 1,000 crore is the book value or the fair market value, what we call. But however, the purchase price, because of competition or because someone wants thinks that they can have this, they will pay maybe 1,400 crores. Yeah, or in that case, the extra 400 which someone is willing to pay for that organization, it's called the goodwill of that organization, because that's the value which is an intangible value which anyone who is acquiring that organization will derive from that organization. So that 400 crores becomes his goodwill. That's an accounting equation. So purchase price is equal to nothing but a fair market value, in our case 1,000 crores plus maybe a 400 crores. So total purchase price becomes 1,400 crores. So whatever extra we pay, it's for the goodwill, and it's a 400 crores, and it's a sizable amount. What happens in a job equation? In the job equation, the salary which you get, and salary which you get is a factor of your skill, which is the nature of work which you do, which has been given to you, plus your qualification. And that's the reality of of of, of today's workplace, that the kind of qualification you get will determine, to a large extent. I won't say that if you have a good qualification, but if you have a poor work ethics, in that case you will survive. I'm not saying that, but qualification plays an extremely important role. Yeah, that is how you see that in an organization. Normally, people who have got a particular qualification will get a fast track in their career. They will get promoted quickly. They will be given. They start on a different scale. Yeah. So all these. So we all have experienced that people who have worked in an organization understand that qualification plays an extremely important role in uh, today's corporate life. You may not like it. You may feel that you are good enough, you are equally good than other people, but the reality is that organization uh, pays premium for professional qualification. That's the reality. And I'm sure everyone who has faced an interview, as someone who has gone through have worked in an organization, would have seen that maybe even you are working for 10 hours or 8 hours in a day. You are equally good like some a colleague of yours who has got a professional qualification, but only if you don't have a professional qualification, your salary would be less than someone who's got a good qualification. The quality of work which is given to you would be different than what is given to someone who has got a rich qualification. The promotion which you get uh, is less than what someone will get with a rich qualification. And also what happens is, understand again the position of an. So one is, from your position you always feel that if you're working in a job and you feel that, the first feeling is that, I mean, I am good, but somehow I don't get the professional, don't get the kind of uh, salary or kind of work which your other colleagues get who has got professional qualification. But look at from the point of view of an organization, and then you will understand why they pay a premium for a professional qualification. So what happens, maybe in the first case where someone was trying to acquire the organization, similarly any organization, they wants to acquire a talent, and they want to pay him good enough so that he or she doesn't leave the organization. Yeah? So that his salary is like a demand and supply, right? So they know that someone who is just a graduate is available at maybe 30,000. I'm just saying example, 30,000 INR, okay, monthly salary. In that case, they know that if I will not pay this person, if I pay him 31,000, he will not go, because he will not get any other opportunity in the market, and he will stay back in the organization. So that is there, and hence his salary would around be at the same level. But however, the same person, if he gets a professional qualification, then it's the same person. He's got the same IQ, he's got the same communication skill, and he's doing the same. Then the nature of work is also same. But suddenly his market value goes up, because today, after a professional qualification, if he goes in the market or he goes in the job market, then people are willing for that qualification. People with that qualification are available at maybe 60,000. Yeah, and that's the premium you get once you get a professional qualification. So the organization knows that if I have to retain this person with this qualification, then I'll have to pay premium. Yeah, and that is how your salary gets decided, right? So that becomes a critical factor. And when you go in a job market, I think uh, the salary is linked to your qualification, and so that is the trend. Yeah, and that is how people are categorized in terms of their professional qualification, and their salary is matching. So you know that if someone, example, he was hiring a position, for example, an MNC wants to hire maybe an accountant or a finance manager for maybe a finance manager or maybe an accountant. So for he'll say accountant, he'll say, okay, I need an accountant, I need 3 accountants, but who have to do who has to do these kind of works, and so we will take maybe a graduate is good for this. However, we need a financial manager who can actually manage these 3 accountants. At the same time, we want him to deal with auditors and take far higher responsibilities, a financial manager. Then we say that, okay, we need a professional, someone who's got a professional qualification to do this work. So when they allocate work, and when they allocate work, or when they decide that what kind of work would be given to him, I think professional qualification plays an important role in deciding a role, a job role. Yeah, and a job qualification, or a job role, I would say, right? And and qualification is what, and that is how qualification gets fixed. So if is a finance manager job is there, and the organization knows that they need to have someone with a professional qualification, they will not hire a graduate into that position unless and until the graduate is extremely talented, and the person who is hiring him uh, is willing to take a risk, and he likes a person, and he feels that he's willing to break the norm, or convince the HR team that although he's not professional qualification, but he would be able to do this job. But that rarely happens, because when you are taking when you are a HR manager, or when you can't defy a company's policy. The company have decided that a finance manager should have a professional qualification, then he should have a professional qualification. And the more bigger the organization, the more set of rules they have. The smaller the organization, there is a lot of flexibility, because the person who is maybe running the organization, who's the promoter, can take deviations depending upon what it is. So in a smaller organization, there are deviations, but if the organization is very bigger the organization, I think more rules you have in terms of what kind of person has to be hired for the job. So that is how the job equation works like. So if your salary is a combination of the nature of work which you do and qualification. So this is something which is extremely important, and that is how the entire job market work today. So if you know this, then you know what to expect from yourself in terms of what kind of qualification you have today and what kind of work you will get. And you should not most of the time we see that people uh, say that I've been trying to change a job, but I'm not getting a good job. My expectation is that I need to move to a higher position, but I think I'm not getting something which is commensurate with my expectation. So there is a gap in that, and we have given maybe 3 interviews, 4 interviews, but people don't turn up, etc., etc., etc. So So in that case, if you have faced these kind of things, I think one of the things to ask yourself is whether I have a qualification which is a must in terms of what I expect. So if I expect to go to a role of a finance manager, then do I have a qualification of a finance manager? If not, then you know where you have to work on. Yeah, there's no point just delaying it. So a lot of times what happens is people get into the habit of, they know inherently, they know that qualification is something which they need, but they don't want to face the fact that if I have to get a professional qualification, I have to put a lot of hard work. Yeah, so that's the reality, that if you want a professional qualification, you have to invest time, and that can be daunting, and it can, and but that's you, but that people don't want to do that. And then the other thing is, okay, let me go and try in a different organization. Maybe if it does not work this time, it will somehow work another time, and that's how they delay it, and somehow the life becomes so comfortable that with the existing salary that they are okay with that. And it's only one when uh, they find that there is when they receive some kind of a push, either organization is going for an automation, and uh, and they're cutting some job which is uh, or they find that the existing manager, they don't have a good relationship with him, and hence they are not treating him well, and that time he feels that I need to look for a change. And then he realizes that I will get what the kind of work which I'm doing it, but I think I will not get at a higher position, because uh, because I don't fit into, my qualification doesn't fit into the role which I am looking at. So that is what. Uh, so I think it is very important to understand job equation. If you keep this in mind, I think you will know, and this is true for every function, and this is universal. So I think, and the more bigger the organization, the more strongly the job equation work. So in case you feel that you are not getting the kind of salary which you deserve, or you're not getting the quality of work which you should do, then ask yourself whether your qualification is matching your expectation. If not, then maybe it's a time to upgrade your qualification. So that is something which we need to keep in mind. Okay, so why a professional qualification? Although I have listed down 5 reasons, but I think I will try to give a 6th reason also, which is becomes very important. 6 or 7 reasons. 6 reason I would say. The first is what I discussed about for last 10 minutes. I was talking about accounting equation and a job equation, because in a job equation, uh, qualification plays an important role. Yeah. Second, I think what we have seen in a lot of countries, in, for example, Saudi Arabia and a lot of Middle East countries, we have seen that they have got a reservation for local talent. So now, for example, if you are an expat who is working in these countries, you know there is a push for local talent, and there could be some rules, or some organization can come out with some kind of rules that, for example, all accounting job would go to the local people, and then suddenly you find that your space has shrunk. Yeah, and then you need a professional. So in case you have a professional qualification, you can actually, you not get impacted by this. Yeah, you can actually quickly move, and because your marketability has improved, you can actually easily switch and move to another organization. That becomes very easy. But if you don't have a professional qualification, then you get stuck suddenly. And then what happens is not that you will become out of job, but maybe what will happen is maybe you will start working in a contractor's payroll. Organization will not take directly. You will get routed through some kind of a contractor, and that is how it will start working. So that's one of the important reasons why you should not wait for these things to happen to you. If you know that you are an expat living in a country where these kind of things might happen, I think it's important that, and I always say that you should look for a professional qualification in a time when you don't need, because when you will need it, the you will not have time, and you will not have the bandwidth to actually go and get a professional qualification. So the best time to get a professional qualification is when you don't need, when there is no urgency. That is the time where when you have to invest and get a professional qualification. Because when you need, you will not have a time for actually, because if you do any kind of qualification, and if you're talking about USCME, you will take approximately maybe 6 to 9 months to get this qualification. In case, God forbid, that if there are some urgency in your life, then you cannot invest 9 months to get a professional qualification, and struggle with your position. So I think if you are in a good position, if you are not being cornered to get a profit, you don't feel there is a pressure on you to get a professional qualification, that is a good time when you should have a professional qualification. Yeah, so that is one. Second, we have seen that it often happens that people think that I am now 30, I am 20, 25, I am 35, I am 40, whether to get a professional qualification at this stage. Understand that you're working, you're going to have a work life of around 60 years. So if I am maybe 35, the question to ask is not whether at 35 I should have a professional qualification. The question to ask is, I know I am 35 years and I have been maybe working for 15 years, and I know without professional qualification I can go to a certain limit, and 60 minus 35, that means I have around 25 more years to go. Although 15 years I have worked, but I have 25 more years to work, and I don't want to live with this hope, or live with this hope that I don't have a professional qualification, and because of which I'm not growing for next 25 years of my life. Yeah, so don't look at, because people normally make this mistake of actually looking at past and saying that I am 35, whether I should do this qualification. And the way to look at is tell yourself that I have got another 25 years to work. Although I have worked for maybe 15 years or 10 years, but I still have got 25 years to work. That is a sizable, this is a big uh, part of your remaining work life. And do you want to continue have working with the same mindset that I don't have a professional qualification and hence I'm not getting the growth? I think you should not do that. I think if you look forward, then you will see that, okay, I think I still have got 25 years to 25, 20 years to catch up. I think let me just get the professional qualification. Next, I would say the fourth one is role specific qualification. As I mentioned in the example which I said, that the more bigger the organization, the a role has got a qualification attached to it, and that is how they work. So unless there is an exceptional talent, or there is a big emergency, people, HR manager or finance manager, they don't deviate from that. So I think if there's a role of a finance manager, then the finance manager, they will not tell you, but they know in the back end that for a finance manager we need this professional qualification. These are the set of professional qualification. Candidates who have these kind of qualification will 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 hire only those candidates for this role. So that is how they work. And again, I said the fifth point is they don't have a personal relationship with you in an interview table. So even if you might be good, maybe out of 30 candidates whom they have interviewed, they will maybe they have rejected outrightly 20, and from the 10 they have selected 3. But it may happen that out of 27 people whom they have rejected, there may be someone who have not taken the interview, but that he was an exceptionally good people, but he was not able to come for the interview table because he didn't have a professional qualification, because he got filtered at a very early stage. Yeah. So although you may think that you are extremely good, but it might happen that you are getting filtered because you don't have a professional qualification. Hence, the amount of opportunity, the amount of opportunity which you should get for giving interviews is very narrow, right? So if so that can happen. And the other reason, sixth reason which I wanted to highlight is that in October 20 last year, there was a World Economic Forum has come up with a report in terms of jobs for or skill sets for future. There, what they have done is they have said that in future, the kind of jobs or the kind of skill sets which will be in demand, and they've also highlighted the jobs or skill set which will significantly reduce. And it was across, right, from IT to HR to finance and manufacturing, engineers. It covers everything. In that, the number one job which was there, which was said that people the number one job uh, or number one profession where digitalization or automation will have a huge impact was on accounting and finance. So that was uh, uh, number one job which is at risk with automation. And I don't know whether you have experienced it. I remember, I recall, just maybe a couple of months back, I was speaking to someone who was working with Mahindra, and he said that in his organization, maybe till 2 years back, he was working in an MIS function. He said that we had around 70 people, 70 to 80 people who were working on MIS. They used to do, maybe at an all country level, they used to do, they used to handle MIS reporting. I'm sure there was that kind of work. But with automation now, they were saying the team has reduced to 15 in last over a period of 2 years. So you can imagine, from a team of 60 reducing to a team of 15. That is what has happened, and the way things are moving, I think from 15 it will further go down to 10. Accounting, as you would have experienced earlier, it was a very manual things, a lot of manual things to be done, but now all that have changed thanks to automation, better softwares, and and good connectivity, right? The way things are moving, and it's going to only accelerate going forward. All So if you find that you are doing a job or doing a work which a machine can do in coming years, you are at risk. So again, as I said, how you will experience, what you will see. Even if you start, if even if your work which you're doing now is getting diminished, what will happen? You will not realize. It's like age catching up on you. You don't realize that you're actually aging. And because you are, or maybe if you have kids, you see your kids every day and you don't realize that they are growing up. It's only when someone comes back and says that, okay, your kid has grown up so much, I mean, look at him 2 years back, and then you realize that actually you have grown, the kids have grown. Similarly, I think when you are in the job, the way you will get a sign, the signs that that the current work which you are doing is getting diminished is, one is you will see that opportunities for that role will shrink in market. So maybe earlier it was very easy to actually get a job, but however, you will find now it's becoming a little more difficult. That's one sign. You will not realize also that the world is changing around you. Okay, because often you will not go for a every day. You don't go for an interview, so you will. That's one. You will. Second is, I think people, you will see around you the function is getting reduced. People earlier maybe your colleagues were doing this role, but gradually they have moved to some different kind of role, or or the size of the organization is has shrunk. These are the indication, because it and that report was absolutely bang on, that in accounting profession, because of good softwares, because of interconnectivity, uh, there is the amount of effort which was required to do accounting has significantly reduced, and it's going to reduce moving forward. And hence, accounting is one of the tasks which is at a risk of getting severely impacted because of automation. So 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 I think, again, as I said, that if you are in a position, and I hope all of you who are attending this webinar, or all of you who are hearing me, uh, uh, are in a position where you don't have a pressure of of finding another job. If there is no pressure on you to find another job, then I think it's a good time, that the best time to actually get a professional qualification, so that you are ready to move on. Don't wait for these things to impact you, and then you feel that I need to, why I have not acted, right? So don't wait for anything bad to happen to you, so that you come to realize, deep within, that these are realities of today's time. Gone are the days where you start your job with an organization, and then you grow with an organization forever. I think in today's time, you move, you switch, you find better opportunity. That's how you grow. And in order to do that, a professional qualification is what would help you immensely. Yeah. So if you feel that that is something which you need to upgrade, then I think decide a professional qualification which you want. And I think, and one of the reason why we always promote USCMA is that it's a very short qualification. So now, so now I have covered the first aspect of where I wanted to emphasize is, why do you need a professional qualification? And I could go on and on, but I think because of paucity of time, I will just try to move to other topics. And but otherwise, I think this is an extremely important topic, because if you know why you need a professional qualification, whether you need a professional qualification, and what time is the right time when you should look at for professional qualification. As I said, the right time is when you don't need. Yeah, because if you need a professional qualification, then you don't have a luxury of investing 9 months into getting a professional qualification, because when you need something urgently, you need it now. You need it within next month. At that time, you will not think about doing the professional qualification. So in case because of God's grace, that you are in a position where you are not being pressurized, or there's no pressure on you to get a professional qualification, that's a good time to actually go for a professional upgrade, giving the job equation, which how it was organization work. Okay, so I think what we do is with this, we go to the next part of it, which is about telling you about the USCMA exam, how it works, and an overview of that. So a USCMA certification exam works on two parts. So there are two parts in the exam. Part one is financial reporting, planning, performance, and control, and second part is financial decision making. So these are the two parts. The exam has got two parts. The format of the exam is it's a 3-hour exam. It's a 4-hour exam where first 3 hours are on MCQ, and next 1 hour is on if you are able to score. Uh, uh, if you're able to qualify, then you go to the second. You go to the next session, which is actually a 1 hour session. We have to write two essay question. So this is the format. Total score is around 500, and passing score is 360. Yeah, as I said, these are the two parts, part one and part two. So these are the two thing, and you can actually write any one part. Typically, what happens is the way you will do it. You will start your journey is once you decide that you want to have a professional qualification, because that decision is going to take a lot of time. So, a lot of time, or maybe once you decide that you want to write an exam, the next thing is that you start your preparation. You start your preparation, you decide any one part one or part two. I always say that people should start with part two, because part two is slightly shorter and it's more fun to do, because the topics are a little practical. So you go to part two, you invest around, in our course, I think we have a part two, a video, because we offer a video based program and also live program. The video based program is approximately around 60 hours is for part two and 90 hours is for part one. So if the course is of part two is of 60 hours, you'll have to invest around 90 hours, because it's not only going through the videos and question, but also you have to practice. So you'll take approximately 90 hours. So if you invest 90 hours, the first thing is decide that you want to write, come to start the course, uh, take one part for part two, start your preparation, and we will help you, because normally what happens is with our program, we deal with working professionals, people who are working. We work with them. I think 98% or 99% of the people who do training programs with us are all working professionals. So working professional people have got a separate set of challenge. They understand really well. They have worked on these fields, so grasping is not a problem. They struggle with time, yeah, because with working professionals, you will have a demanding job, you will have family responsibilities, and you will have friend circle, etc., etc. Hence, time becomes extremely important, and hence planning becomes very important. How do you plan the topic? And hence, what we do is, I think once you start the program, there is a one-to-one session with you where someone will tell you how to do your preparation. And also, I think when you start the course, there is a risk matrix which we have designed, where we will tell you that understanding basis your work profile, what is your risk matrix, where do you file, whether you are most likely to complete the course or not. So if you are at a very high risk of not completing the course, then you know in the beginning of the program that I am at a very high risk, and hence it becomes extremely important that I do these things, whatever thing which needs to be done in order to clear this course. So I think from our side, we make all attempts to tell you what you need to do, but unfortunately, we don't have a tablet where you can just take the tablet and you're done. You have to put in that time. So there's no substitute for that, and that is where your seriousness plays a very important role. So these are two parts, but I think from what we do is we sincerely, as we said, around 98% of the people who work with us are all working professionals. Uh, so in order to we understand the difficulties working professional face because of their time constraints, and hence we the entire program is designed to help them to clear this, to prepare and clear this exam. Yeah, but however, I think time investment would be done by you. That is something today at least we cannot do for you. You have to do it for yourself. Okay, so who is it? I think anyone who's a finance professional working in any there is account closing, MIS, anything which you do related to account, I think this is a good professional qualification to have. It's an accounting professional. If you think that you lie in a graduate category, and it's a good qualification to help you move to a professional category. So that is something which you need to keep in mind. Why USCMA? because it's very short-term qualification. Short-term qualification in terms of investment of your time. So within, as I said, within 6 to 9 months, you'll have a professional qualification under your belt. Yeah, and it's quite affordable also compared to other courses. I think that's the reason we always say that USM is a good qualification in case you feel that you need to have a professional upgrade. I think this is first qualification which should come into your mind, because this qualification is designed for working professionals. If you look at the format of the exam, it's an MCQ format plus essay question. So don't look at that. It's an MCQ question, then it's going to be an easy exam. It's not an easy exam. It will test your important skills, key concepts. So it's a beautifully designed. The question, the MCQs are very sharp, and I think anyone who gets through this qualification, passes the exam, the organization can be sure that they know, they are very clear in terms, they're very sharp in terms of their understanding. Yeah, so that is how it is. So it is not a very laborious exam where you have to study very thick books, write a lot of papers, etc., etc. No, so this is actually meant for working professionals. So anyone who have paucity of time, who's working professionally, wants to have a professional upgrade, I think this qualification will have. So it's a short-term qualification. It's got a global recognition, particularly. Uh, I think in all the MNCs, particularly US-based common MNCs, they prefer this qualification. So, example, Amazon or any organization who are based in US, you predominantly US-based organization, they prefer this organization, and this organization is extremely popular in Middle East and Canada. So, uh, so, so in case you have an aspiration of either if you are into that geographical location, Middle East, or you have an aspiration of going to Canada, then I think this qualification is extremely popular. Otherwise, I think in other regions also, in US, for example, this will help you differentiate between a professional and a graduate. So that is something which you should keep in mind. As we said, I think you need to back your professional working experience with a good qualification, and that is how this qualification helps it. It will back your professional, it will back your work experience. So whatever experience you have, working experience, this qualification will add to that and help you unlock a lot of things which you expect from your life in terms of better job opportunities, better salary, etc. Two part. So this is the syllabus of first part. Each part is divided into so part one is divided into 5 sections: A, B, C, D, and E, and this is exam weightage of of each section. So 15% of the questions will come from section A, 20% of the question will come from section B, and so on. So part two, if you go to part two, this is the construct for part two. These are the 6 sections we have, and these are the exam marks weightage of that section. Coming to us, what do? We do actually live and pre-recorded, online recorded video lectures. I always prefer to study in a recorded lecture because I'm a very disciplined person that way, and hence the recorded lectures suits me because they are available at a fraction of a physical classroom or an online classroom. So I always prefer pre-recorded courses. Recorded, I can learn at my pace. But in order to do a pre-recorded course, you should be a disciplined person. You should be good at sticking to your plan. Then there's nothing like pre-recorded courses. If you think that you're not good in discipline, or you have other things because of which you want to do a live program, then you also have a live classes. Approximate preparation time, I would say, is 180, not 188 per hour, but it's actually for part one is 90 hours, 90 into 150, around 150 hours for part one, and around 90 hours. So approximately 150, but around 220 is what you will take for both the parts. There are 1100 MCQ which we have solved. So we have solved a lot of questions which to help you clear the exam. So we'll give you a PDF workbook which you have to follow. So I think everything, we have a WhatsApp group where you can actually post your queries. So it's not that you start the course and then you're off your own. So we provide you a strong support in terms of, as we said, that once you start the course, there is a one-to-one session with you, which will help tell you what is your risk profile and how you should plan your studies, and strong support to help you with your queries, etc. Uh, yeah. So this is our WhatsApp number. So what you can do is, if you have any questions or you want to connect with us on WhatsApp, you can actually just you can note down our number. This is +91 because we are based out of India. We work from Bombay, and this is our number 869290017. I'll repeat the number. It's 869290017. So if you save this number and just say that I have seen the webinar and I wanted to understand about USMA program, or I have this question, or can you provide me the details of the program? Then someone will respond to your query and will provide you the details. Yeah. So this is what we have what I wanted to share with you, and I thought I'll take around 50 minutes to cover all of this. I think I've taken 47 minutes. I still have 3 minutes left, so I think I'm well on time. Uh, any questions which you have, please feel free to either unmute and ask, or maybe you can put it in the chat mode, and then we can reply. Or what you can do is, you can also, I think, if you have any question, you can reach out to this number and ask your question, and we will reply to you. You can do it that way as well. Okay, any question, or else I think we are good to go. So there are a few questions coming in. Let me see what questions we have. Is there an MOU between Indian CMA? Okay, is there a MOU between Indian CMA and US CMA? So there was an MOU. So what this question is, earlier there was a memorandum of understanding between Indian Cost Accountant Institute (ICWAI) and the IMA USCMA, that if someone has done a USCMA course out of India, then what they can do is, for example, people used to go to Middle East or maybe Nepal to go and write the exam, pass the exam, and come to Cost Accounting Institute and pay some, I think, 5,000 rupees, and then you become a member of. You can say that you are a cost accountant. And so this was a two-way program. That means Indians can actually go do this, take this qualification also, and cost accountant who go to US can actually also get equivalent qualification there. I think that was a understanding with the institute, but I think somewhere the Indian Cost Accounting Institute realized that they don't want to operate in that way, and hence that MOU is no longer valid. So that arrangement is not valid now. So when we say a member of a cost accountant, see, there are two things when we do a professional qualification. For example, if someone is becoming a cost accountant, and when he's a practicing cost accountant, so what a practicing cost accountant does is, when the Indian laws says that in Companies Act, there are a lot of provision where they say that the cost has to be audited or signed by a cost accountant. If and a lot of the law says that, or Companies Act says that, this document has to be signed by a chartered accountant. So wherever there is a clause, that means the member of or the practicing member of the institute can actually go and sign that document. So by that MOU, you can become a member of an Cost Accountant Institute of India. But however, you cannot actually, you don't have a signing right. So that was, anyway, I think that MOU is no longer valid, and hence we can say that it's not valid now. Then we have saying that hold on. Hey, Naveen is saying, hi sir, how are you? Hi Naveen, I'm fine, thanks for asking. Then I think it's Vikram is saying, or CIMA UK. CIMA UK is also a good qualification, but I think I always prefer this qualification because it's a shorter qualification. It takes around, as I said, around 9 months, and money-wise also, I think it's quite affordable. So I always prefer USCMA over CIMA. But I think if you have any specific question, then maybe if you can just send a hi to this number, then maybe we can connect and we can understand more detail and reply to you quicker. So there is Sankar, which is saying that the live session that are offered, it is based on a module wise. So it is a module wise, but it is offered on part 1 and part 2. So it's part wise. So part 1 and then part 2. Is that your question? Because if you mean by module wise, section wise is what you mean. For example, section, no, it's not section wise. It's actually part wise. It's part 1 and part 2. So you can start with either part. Then, sir, bachelor degree is must required, and what is the fees? I'm not sure what you mean by bachelor degree. I think you have to have a graduate in order to write this exam, if that is your question. And the fee is, so there are, I would say there are 3 parts to a fee structure. So one is a training fees, what we charge. Second is, and maybe you would need some softwares or some exam software, practice software, etc. So that is, we are partnered with Hawk where we provide that. And the third would be an IMA exam fees, etc. So there are 3 parts to the fees. Yeah, and all 3 fee will vary because an IMA offers various discounts, etc. I think, and hence, unfortunately, I will not like to tell you what is the fee because there are it varies. So I think it would be good if you want to know, if you can just ping this WhatsApp number. I think Ronak will tell you exactly what is the fees at this point of time, or depending upon when you want to write the exam, what will be the fee. I think he can tell you that. Sankar is asking, Sankar from, do you have any live session on a specific scheduled date? Yeah, we have a live session on a specific scheduled date. So I think if you want to know about that, get in touch with this WhatsApp number. I think Ronak will reply to you. Yeah, Sneha, this is the most beautiful question which I often get, and it's very difficult for me to reply. Sir, is the salary will be changed according to the percentage how much we score? No, no, this is a very simpler question. Yes. So I mean, see, what happens is, in a professional qualification, you get a professional qualification. People will never ask you how much you got in the exam. I mean, that is an irrelevant question. People will never ask you. So you will never ask a CA in terms of how much marks you got in the exam. You just qualified. So that is how it is here. Also, what you become is, you clear the exam. So no one is on earth is going to ask you how much you have scored, and then they will try to give you a salary. So they don't ask it. Typically, I think this question is asked by someone who is fresh, who has not worked, and who is just starting up his career. Maybe he's just graduated and he's looking for this qualification to get a stand. And that is also a good way of getting a professional qualification at the beginning of your journey. That way it will help. But I think what you do is, if you are a fresher and you get this qualification, there are 2 things. One is that after getting this after passing this exam, so there are 2 parts to this. One is passing the exam, and secondly is becoming a member of the institute, right? I mean, so passing the exam is, I think, most often passing the exam is what you need, right? So unless until you decide to practice, then you will need you need to become a member. But I think passing the exam, I've seen so many people who have just passed the exam, but however, after passing the exam, they put that they have qualified this exam. They go for an interview, and they are selected. And I think once they complete the experience norm, then they can decide whether they want to have they want to have a membership of the institute or not. But I think there are 2 parts. One is writing the exam, and other is membership. I think and I think in your case, in case it looks like, Sneha, that you are your question is that maybe you're not working. You don't have a lot of work experience. But in that case, that's an assumption which I take. In that case, I think you get the qualification and start your job. That is a good way of doing it. I think that's what I could reply right now. In case I'm not sure if I've replied to your question. In case you want a more detailed reply, then maybe you can WhatsApp us and then I can connect you. Which material is best? How many hours per day I want to read? Yeah, Naveen, thanks. So this is again a query question comes, and I think this is quite handled well in our one-to-one session which we have with the people. So what happens is, typically the way, if you look at part two program with us is of around 60 hours, and we say that you will take 1.5 times, because it's not only about going to the video course, you also practice. So you will take around 90 hours is what you will take. And typically when I say that, for example, we are sitting in the month of suppose in the month of January, or maybe December just end, so you have January. So, and you want to write the exam in May window, yeah, May June window. Then you have, for example, January, February, March, April. You have, or maybe May month. You have 5 months, and so if you have 5 months and 90 hours, if you divide 90 divided by 5, you will get approximately 90 divided by 5 is 18 hours. So 18 hours is what you have to study in a month. So if you divide it by 4, then it comes to around 4.5 hours. So as a rule of thumb, every week you have to study for around 4 to 5 hours is a rule of thumb which you have to always keep. So in every week you have to study for 4 to 5 hours is the rule which you have to follow if you are starting from January and you want to write in May exam. So I think in one-to-one session we clearly work it out with you in terms of the rule of thumb, in terms of how much time you have to put in case you have to write the exam. And that is something which is extremely becomes important, that when you start the course, the most easiest path is actually to pay the fee. Yeah, because uh, like in case you want to buy something, the easiest thing is actually pay the money and get the thing, get that thing. But however, here you will also have to invest your time, and hence when you start the program, one is surely you exam. So unless and until you commit yourself, you will find that you will always struggle in terms of when you want to write the exam. So I think commitment becomes extremely important. Okay, it becomes extremely important that when you want to write the exam. Okay, thank you for answering. Okay, thanks, Neha. Uh, Sir, is the negative marking the MCQ part? No, there are no negative marking. I am from Dubai, sir, and I can join your institute for study, but you are talking about software. Which kind of software does a student, as we student, have to pay? So there is a something. Normally, what happens is this is Buddheshwar Mandal. Uh, so I think what software we are looking at is maybe if you are familiar with maybe let me take an example of maybe an Indian institute, maybe Indian cost accountant or a CA institute. They publish a lot of study material. They publish past question papers, but I think IMA doesn't publish any study material. So what they've done is they have tied up with the publishers who publish study material. So so we have partnered with Hawk, where there is a software where it's an exam simulation where actually you go and write the exam. So what we do is we say that after you have studied the course with us, completed one topic, you go and take the mock test and see and check your understanding. To study. But however, you would need since we don't have a mock test, so you need to have a mock test to check your understanding, and that is how the software becomes important. So I think once you start the course, you feel that you need to check your understanding. I think then software plays an important role. So that is the software we are talking about. Okay, then I have a question from Imtiaz. Imtiaz is saying, sir, what is the passing percent from your institute? Which material is the best? Because I am a material called Wiley, and you were talking about MOC material. So these are different. See, as I said, there are various material providers. For example, Hawk is there, Gleam is there, Wiley is there. I mean, they are all are equally good. And I think you study from any material, they all, we say in Hindi, all 19-20 ka hai. They are all 90-20. They are all are equally good, all good quality material. So I think any material which you follow should be good. Follow one material. We always say that you should always follow one material. In our case, we say anyone who is studying with us should not take any material. It's like a horse when it runs on a road. It actually covers his eye with a jacket so that the focus is only on the road. So similarly, if you're studying with us, the only thing which you'll need is our what we provide you. You don't need any other material, because the more material you have, the more comparison you will do, and more time you will waste. So I think you should never do that. One material, any material, you pick up the material, you just follow that with a firm understanding that this is the best material which I've got, and this is sufficient. And if you have that conviction, you just follow any material for that matter, because all are equally good. I think it's not to do with the material; it's to do with how you are preparing. Right. So I think that is on material. I need to, in Dubai, it's expensive. I know the Mandal in Dubai, it's expensive. That's why we have this course, so that people like you who find it very expensive can easily do it. It's a good quality course at a very I won't say it's a cheap price, but it's a good, very, very good price. I'm sure you will never get a better price than what we offer. I think just connect with Ronak on WhatsApp, and he will tell you. Sneha, sir, you're correct. I'm just studying college. You're a genius. Yeah, Sneha, I'm not a genius. I have. You are also genius. It's just I am a little older than you. Thanks, Sneha. Sir, if I will prepare for Indian Institute, then you will book the exam here in Dubai. Yes, yeah, you can do it. You can prepare for anywhere. Actually, you prepare. There are two things. You can preparation of exam and booking the exam. So preparation you can do from anywhere. Booking, depending upon physically where you are, you can actually go and book the exam in Dubai. I think with that, I think I have replied all the questions. Thank you for asking these questions, which are all relevant. I think I tried to reply to all the questions to best of my ability. But I think beyond that, if you have any question, please WhatsApp this number with a hi, and I think with your question, and we will reply to your questions. Thank you, and enjoy your Saturday, Sunday. Bye. Thank you.